call of Tommy, I should probably stop and say hello. Hello, from Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette, California. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Stevie Coyle, and this is the Friday Noontime Webcast. Nice to see you. I always feel like Miss Nancy, and I see Bobby and Sissy and Glenn and Brian and all the rest. Nice to see you all. Today, boys and girls, I think it's all about big guitars, because for some reason, a bunch of big guitars have come into the shop. A bunch has, or a bunch have. Oh, I feel Sister Godzilla Marie sitting on my shoulder, asking me to parse that plurality. For whatever reason, like I say, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dreadnoughts in the shop at the moment. Crazy, I know. One guy brought in 3, and I'll play those for you in a little bit, but this one I wanted to start off with. This is a Martin D18 from 1958, and it's, as you can see, it's been rode hard a few times, you know, but it plays just like it ought to. It's all kind of beat up, but it's beat up just right. And this guitar reminds me, I want to start off with this one because it reminds me of the guitar that my first good guitar, which was much later than this, was 1967 D18, but it still has that same feel to it. This is even strung with light gauge strings. Now, those of you that have tuned in before know that we get into some pretty serious geeking pretty quickly here. This is the way it goes. We talk about. Oh, we have a question already. Why, yes.
Maybe ask people if they can, how it is, because it seems to have stopped at 18 seconds.
Really? Are you folks actually seeing this, or have we stopped?
It says 5, 4 people.
Interesting.
Ask
I'll pop over there. Give me just a second. I'm going to pop over and see if I can spot us myself here.
Oh, no, John Moody's cool with it. Keep on dancing.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right. It's very mysterious. All this computer stuff, it's all just ones and zeros. What could go wrong? But sometimes things do. All right. So back to the D18. The D, the letter in a Martin designation means the body size, and the numbers that come after it typically mean the types of wood and the appointment. So a D means a dreadnought, which means this big guitar, really big guitar, big lower bout and wide across the waist. And these are the guitars. I think one of the reasons these are coming into the shop is because a lot of folks, a lot of gentlemen, let's face it, although this came from a woman of a certain age, are finding that the guitars they played in college are just way too big for them anymore, especially if they want to sort of slouch on the couch with a sofa sweetheart and watch Netflix or sports and kind of strum on the old guitar. These are big guitars, and they do sit up high on the waist. There are other guitars that are as big across the lower bout, and sometimes even bigger, but the waist is narrower, so the whole guitar sits lower, so you don't feel quite as much like Kilroy peering over your guitar. But this, a dreadnought body, the 18 means it's mahogany back and sides and a spruce top. That's the basic Martin designation. We've got 2 of these. This reminds me so much of that first good guitar I got from a little shout out to Rocco Tavani. Rocco, are you online? Thank you very much for consigning your guitar to Gadsby's Music in Salinas, California in 1973 maybe. And my folks snagged it for me for Christmas for $300. Does that hurt or what? But see, the thing is, with older guitars like this, there aren't any more of them going to be made, and that's why their value increases. People say, well, you know, when is Martin going to come out with some more 1958 D18s? Ain't going to happen. So the value goes up even when they're kind of not in perfect cosmetic condition, like this one. You can really get your Pete Townsend on with one of these, baby. out of muscle memory. I don't think I played that since about then. So anyway, we got to move along. This is a 1958. It needs a little love, but it's priced commensurately. It's got a little bit of sponginess here. Could use a little cleating on the inside here. Could use, probably it's not too far off of a neck reset, although what I have to say about this one is that it's strung with light gauge strings and it still makes all that racket that I was making. And typically these guitars are strung with medium gauge strings. The bluegrassers all like that because you can smack the guitar really hard, because as any bluegrass guitarist will tell you, you are always dueling with the banjo. It's not dueling banjos, but you in the volume wars are dueling with a banjo. And I would like to know, when I get up to the pearly gates, first of all, I'd like to know how much time I spent drawing little chord charts, and I will wonder if I can get that much time back. And then what I would like to know is who looked at an open back banjo way back when, strung with steel strings, and said, you know, this instrument is great. It just needs to be louder. Let's put a resonator on the back. I'd like to meet that guy, although if I'm going to heaven, he might not be there. So who knows? So this is a 1958 Martin D18, and it's just about what you'd expect, which is great. It's really great. And this one is in the 3000s, which is even more remarkable. To a Martin this old, this is almost 60 years old. It galls me to say that, but it is. And an old Martin like this in great shape that probably doesn't need a neck reset for a while. In the 3000s, that's, I must be crazy. Crazy Stevie's Guitar Emporium. So there's the 58. Pressing on. Now here is, I'll play this one last. There's another D18 here, kids, but I'm going to play it last because after you hear that one, everything else will sound about this big. So pressing on to the next Martin we have in the shop here. Here is a D28. Dreadnought style body, but rosewood back and sides. And that's the primary difference. It's got a little binding around the front. You can always tell a D, because, rather a 28, because it's got white binding around the front. This one comes with a bit of a story. The person who owns this got the guitar from his sister, who unfortunately passed away a while ago, and she left it to him. Well, the cool part of the story is he had given it to her back in 1965. This is a 65. She had had her guitar stolen. She had a Martin D1228, a big 12-string guitar, slotted headstock, which means you essentially never change the strings on it. But before she even had a chance to change the strings on it, it was stolen. So he said, well, he talked to her roommate and said, what does she really want? And the roommate said, oh yeah, she's been talking about a D28, because that was the folk guitar back then. She was a little tiny gal. Her name was Kai Moore, K-A-I Moore. And I've got he brought me a poster just to kind of, so I was up to speed on all of the case candy that could possibly come with this guitar. It's a little mimeograph, or a little Xerox rather, mimeograph. My gosh, Sister Godzilla Marie again. I can smell it now. There was a Xerox of a poster in which she is advertised on a bill with Vanilla Fudge and Creedence and Iron Butterfly and Sandy Bull and all kinds of other folks, and Kai Moore. A show at the Cow Palace back in 1968, and the admission charge was $2.50. So it's kind of nice to know what the stories are sometimes. Anyway, she left it to him before she passed away, and he bought it for her back in '65 because her guitar was stolen. And it's a lovely old thing, it really is. Now the rosewood guitars typically, in contrast to the mahogany guitar I just played, rosewood guitars tend to have more reverb, more built-in reverberation. The overtones stack up in a different way that makes them swirlier sounding, bigger sounding, more rich. Some people would characterize the guitar as rich sounding. Lots of very overtoning. The overtones stack up on each other and really propagate in a way that's very distinctive. I hope you can hear it on this. It's a pretty good little, webcasting rig, but it doesn't really capture the full sounds of the guitars. So come on in and play them. So this is a rosewood guitar. Ah, you're welcome. So that's kind of the difference in wood sounds. Typically, the typical differences in wood sounds between rosewood and mahogany. Mahogany gets a lot of the fundamental tone. It gets it out there quick. The decay is faster typically, and better, ostensibly better, presumably for bluegrass folks in particular. They're going to be playing lots of chords and lots of single note stuff. The note gets out there quick. It decays quickly. It's not banging into the notes that are coming along behind it in the same way that it does a bit with rosewood guitars. Depends on your style. Sometimes you want that sort of saturation, that big saturation that rosewood provides. And once again, this is Brazilian rosewood, which really does have a sound to it. You know, for years and years I thought, oh, rosewood, you know, rosewood is rosewood. It doesn't really matter. Brazilian does have a certain sound to it. I have not tested it, but I fancy that in a blind taste test, if somebody handed me various guitars, I think I could spot the ones that were Brazilian. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But there's something about them that the way the overtones stack up, it's a particular kind of richness and depth. And depth is really the word. You hear the first hit of the note, but then there's stuff behind it that's trailing along after the initial envelope of the initial edge of the envelope passes you. There's more stuff that comes along that kind of fills in a way that doesn't happen typically, again, with mahogany guitars. So here's one of the D28s. This one is 1965. The next one is a 1963 coming up. Be right there. Talk amongst yourselves. Here's a 1963. Also a D28, also Brazilian rosewood. This one even smells like 1963. It's got a certain air to it. But look at that Brazilian rosewood. How about that? That's the real stripy stuff. Can you say marijuana on a Facebook webcast? I hope so. I think marijuana aficionados would appreciate I've heard talk, never being a fan myself. I'd fall asleep and wake up with a sore throat, so never got into it. This has that kind of combinations of greens and purples and yellows in the wood that apparently, so I'm told, so I have read, a really fine herb has. This has got the little threads of green and yellow and purple in there. Very stripy and lovely. Pressing on, there's another dreadnought over here that's made by a company that is clearly paying tribute to Martin. And this is built by Dana Bourgeois, who is an old partner of Eric Schoenberg, who has a very fine shop just across the bay here. And this is, which one have we got here? This is torrified all the way around. Now, torrification is a process involving heat and pressure, apparently, that purports to age the wood in a more organic way than just leaving your guitar out in the sun for forever. The idea here is to get your guitar dried out, to get all of the kind of residual oils and whatnot sort of dried out and shrunk down so that the guitar behaves more like an old guitar, in which case those processes would happen naturally just over the course of time. So this one is torrified. I have not played a big enough sample of torrified guitars to let you know what I really think. I've only played 3 or 4, but they all have had kind of an older sound than they would have otherwise. That I can tell you. And this one is torrified not only on the top, back and sides, everything on this one. This is a tribute to a D18. This is mahogany back and sides and a spruce top. Lovely. And this one's been torrified. The sound difference, it has that kind of, as I always complain, it's so hard to talk, excuse me, it's so hard to talk about sound. But this one has that kind of huskiness that people treasure in D18s. It's got a little bit of breath to it, kind of an aspirated sound that you hit a note and there's almost, You can hear breath behind it. Ha. Does that make any sense? Especially through this microphone? I don't know, but see what you think. Recently restrung. My bad. But this gentleman brought in three dreadnoughts. You know, a lot of people, a lot of husbands in particular, let's face it, have a deal with their wives. They're on a program called the one in, one out program. Yes, you can have another guitar, but you got to get rid of one. Well, this guy found a guitar he really loved, and it was 3 guitars worth. So he had to relinquish 3 guitars, so they're all in here. There's this Bourgeois, there's another Bourgeois, and there's a Santa Cruz I'll play for you in just a second. And I'll be working like a fiend today to get these instruments up on the website so you can read all about them. Oh, and speaking of today, tonight, if you happen to be in the area, come on by Mighty Fine Guitars, because there's some music going to be played here tonight. The Quitters are going to be here tonight. These guys are fantastic. They're refugees from other well-known bands in the area, and they formed a duo. It's Glenn Houston from Houston Jones, and very late of the Waybacks, and yours truly, very late of the Waybacks as well. We'll get there. So it's an 8 o'clock show. Come on in. There's no ticket to buy at these shows typically. There's a hat that goes around. When the hat comes around, just throw in 15 or 20 bucks, whatever you can do. Bring a bottle of wine. Babes in arms, discouraged hugely, but do come on in. If you can't make the show in person, tune in. I think we're going to webcast in this fashion one or the other of the sets, probably the first set. So tune in if you can, and you can catch some of the Quitters, who will also be playing at the Strawberry Music Festival on Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. And that's my spam about the Quitters. Oh no, it isn't. I'm not done. We have a website. We just flung together a website, quittersduo.com. Head on over. All the propaganda's there, the photos, the merchandise page is getting filled in. We're going to get ourselves some T-shirts and action figures and fly swatters and all kinds of stuff. Tune on in. You can get all kinds of logo merchandise, and chicks dig it. Yes, a question in the back.
Will you webcast the Quitter show?
The first set. I think we're going to webcast the first set. I have to consult with our lawyers to see what's legal and what ain't. I'll have to check the rider. You know, the Quitters have a very extensive rider that will be available for your viewing pleasure tonight. And I'll have to check and see, but I think we're going to webcast the first set, which will be at 8 o'clock shortly thereafter, Pacific Daylight Time. Now that sounds like an old bluegrass guitar to me. It's got that kind of nothing but fun, not much, but fundamental. The fundamental tone gets out there quick. It's very snappy. The notes don't super saturate. The articulation amongst the notes is really good. It's not like you're holding down the sustain pedal on a piano the way it can be with a rosewood guitar, with a mahogany guitar like this. And look at that nice stripy mahogany. Are you getting a good shot of that, Ducky?
Yeah, go ahead and tilt it. Yeah, that's better.
More like that? There you go. Take a look. Oh, by the way, folks, how about a hand for our mistress of the machines, Miss Valerie May. Thank you so much. Shigor. She rocks. Thank you very much. Great. She's personing the camera and the microphone today. So this is, like I said, this is a Dana Bourgeois, and boy, is he good. You know, he must build some bad guitars, but if he does, he never lets them out, because I've never played one that was less than really, really good. It's like James Goodall. Goodall as well. Played tons of Goodall guitars. Never played one that wasn't at least really, really good, if not spectacular. wish I knew more bluegrass, I'd play you some. But, well, let me be your salty dog, or I don't want to be your man at all. Honey, let me be your salty dog. Well, salty dog and salty dog, or I don't want to be your man at all. Honey, let me be your salty dog. I was down in the wildwood sitting on a log, finger on the trigger and eye on the hog. Honey, let me be your salty dog. I pulled the trigger and the gun went blam. I got splattered with bits of ham. Honey, let me be your salty dog. It's a true story. Well, salty dog and salty dog, or I don't want to be your man at all. Honey, let me be your salty dog. Well, salty dog and salty dog, or I don't want to be your man at all. Honey, let me be your salty dog. Amen. Hallelujah. Right. Pressing on. This was the Bourgeois, full torified, the FT, the mighty FT. Well, gosh, there are so many. Maybe I'll just play one more for you. This is a Santa Cruz, another company that has done very faithful tributes to Martin guitars over the years. This one is the Dreadnought pre-war, DPW. And it's a spruce top. I think that's Sitka up there. And some really pretty rosewood in back here. This is kind of a 28 tribute. And again, you'll hear, I hope you'll hear, kind of the bigger, kind of richer, more Grand Canyon sort of sound. Sort of says, you know, like I say, it's so hard to talk about sound. Sometimes a good analogy is vowel sounds. Some guitars sound like ah or e. They've got a lot of sparkle and wideness to them and whatnot. This one's got a little bit more of a fluty kind of ooh sort of sound to it. Who changed these strings? Santa Cruz. Lovely, lovely, very Martin-y sort of guitar, and again, very reasonably priced. Hit me up, send me an email, Stevie at mightyfineguitars.com. There's several. Use that one. Stevie at mightyfineguitars.com. I'll tell you all about all of these guitars. I wanted to finish up today since we're talking about big guitars, and I'll show you some more Dreadnoughts next week. There's even more in here, but you know, why press the point? This came in, and I wish I knew how to play it. So since I don't play it, please come and buy it, because I'm getting no use out of it. It's no fun at all. But if you know your way around basses, this is one of those old Tacoma Thunder Chief basses, and it's totally cool, but it has no frets on it, see? So I'm stumped. But it does this cool thing, you know, the fretlessness means it's got a much more vocal sound to it. You know, when you swoop up to a note singing-wise, you hit all of these little microtones. Well, on a fretted instrument, of course, all you can hear as you move up the string is fret to fret to fret to fret. You don't hear all of those little tonelets in between. And with a fretless bass like this, you can. It's all wired up with this lovely Bags pickup system, and it rumbles. The problem, from what I hear from the people who do play bass that come into my shop occasionally and rag on me because I never have any basses, so you folks come on in. What they say is that the acoustic basses that are out there, the guitar basses, typically don't have a lot of volume. And you need to bring an amp anyway if you're going to play with acoustic folks. This one's got some serious volume. Oh yeah, you'd be heard sitting around the old campfire playing this. You really would. What's that?
Play some higher notes.
Higher notes? Sure. There are some up here. I don't know what they are. Breaking my own teeth here. I don't know what I'm doing, and I admit it. But please come and take this off my hands. And if you get a chance, tune in tonight to this station. This will probably be up on the Mighty Fine Guitars Facebook page and the Stevie Coyle Facebook page, maybe even the Glenn Houston Facebook page, and on and on. The first set, I think, of the Quitters, who will be performing at Mighty Fine Guitars tonight. If you're in the area, come on by. Like I say, no ticket needed. Just when the hat comes around, throw in 15, 20, 80, 90 bucks, and bring a bottle of wine. Good stuff if you got it, and share. We'll have paper cups here, and pretzels, and crullers, and carrot sticks. So it'll be quite a bash. Come on by. 8 o'clock show tonight, Pacific Daylight Time, at Mighty Fine Guitars, 85 Lafayette Circle in Bucolic, Lafayette, California. So it's your old pal Stevie Coyle here, thanking you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. We'll talk about some more Dreadnought guitars, and I got some other little teeny guitars that came into the shop that I'll show you next week. But time's up, and off we go. Safe travels out there. Bye.